What is important after the arrest? It depends on what the judge deems to be important. And from what I learned in Natchitoches from the city judge is that all events after the arrest that occurred where I want to complain about the officer's conduct with taking my cell phone battery to 0, searching my voice recorder, not putting me in a seatbelt, all of that was not relevant. It was something that he said was more for a lawsuit than something that is to be brought up in a criminal trial. But when the prosecutor brings up that I posted a lot of material on social media complaining about the arrest and talking about it, that was relevant because other people were learning about it, and some of those people had things to communicate in whatever ways they chose. That became important, and reasons for adding punishment to the failure to ID crime. But when I want to bring up issues after the arrest directly involving the cops in the process, pretty much of in between the arrest and going to jail, and things I discovered afterward too, with how the cops handled my arrest, especially the issue with the cops adding on evidence to be used against me that they learned about after my arrest. That was stuff that was relevant to the judge, and things, anything that would paint the cops in a positive picture was relative to the judge. Anything that made me look bad was irrelevant. So what he thought made me look bad, posting to social media, makes me look bad to the city judge. But going to the witnesses 4 days after, going to a witness who the cops never talked to during my arrest, and they didn't contact this person until 4 days after my arrest to ask him to come in to do a video interview. That was relevant. That was not irrelevant. That was relevant. It was like in that time where the cops decided to contact a witness, and the cops probably contacted the first floor librarians too, to see if they had anything to add, and it didn't sound like they did, anything that they could use against me. But in that time, when I got out of jail and started posting on social media asking for help, what became relevant was the cops getting a verbal interview with one of the librarians that they never talked to for 4 days, and then also that was a result of my social media posts. So the revenge. It was getting like a revenge on me. That was their main, the whole purpose for getting these video interviews was revenge. to use against me at trial, because they might have seen what I did as retribution or revenge when I posted to social media about the arrest, my videos, posting my videos of the arrest, and then talking about it. There's certain things that were irrelevant to the judge, and pretty much how it's defined between what's irrelevant and what's relevant is anything that makes the cops look bad is irrelevant. Anything that makes me look bad is relevant. That, because they were narrowing the focus of the charge and only focusing on me. Even if the cops violated any laws to affect this arrest, that was overlooked, as long as they could make me look bad. Anything that can work against me, make smear anything that could cause a smear campaign, affect a smear campaign against me in their own ways. They can't go to social media and talk about me. They kind of did through the Natchitoches Parish Journal, that posted a picture of me and made disparaging remarks about being a First Amendment auditor, and just trying to look for trouble. They can kind of talk through the newspaper in a way. I think the newspaper and the cops have a really good relationship. But what's relevant and irrelevant, I didn't address strong enough during one of the hearings, when they were telling me that and it was at the first hearing where my social media posts were being discussed. Okay, and then the threats of witness intimidation. If I was quick enough, I would have talked about all my complaints against the cops and their conduct. I went to the internal affairs lady, and she was going to do a report. It's been over 100 days now, and there's no sign of any report. She took my information. She had 90 days to finish the report. Lieutenant Williams, and there's nothing. So why did she even listen to me? You know, if she wasn't going to make any reports, why even listen to me? I mean, that's strange to even entertain a meeting if nothing was going to be accomplished from it. It's a strange situation there on how they do things. They entertain particular contacts that they have no intention of doing any making any reports of. So the judicial system has decided that social media is relevant, and how people react, maybe the numbers of people who react to the posts in their way, depending on the type of reaction. If the cops, if people who watch the videos, my videos that I posted of my arrest, if they wanted to give a lot of congratulations to the police, then it wouldn't even be an issue. Would Judge Ousley have asked me to tell the people to stop contacting them and congratulating them on a job well done? I mean, would he have asked me that if this was done in a reverse way? I'm not sure. I get the feeling that probably not. Seeing how they continued to push forward with punishing me over my ID and the social media issues that followed afterward. The internal auditor took a report from me and took information from me and made no report. When I do my own report, they didn't like it. So they refused to do their own due diligence. So I pick up the slack by reporting on my own arrest and the details surrounding it, and they don't like that. But they want to remain hush. They want to tell me to keep the trial private. All right, keep a lot of this information private, the details and my thoughts about it, all of that, and then turn around and say that it's public. But the only time that Judge Osley really highlighted that it was a public thing was because there was 100 other people sitting behind me waiting for their turn to just plead guilty and get out of there. A bunch of antsy people that sat for 45 minutes while I had my first hearing in front of them for 45 minutes. And one guy I could hear in the audience yawned very loud towards the end. I think they got very impatient, but maybe also didn't quite understand what was going on too. Like maybe these people were surprised to see somebody representing themselves as pro se and getting that discovery evidence, and watching the prosecutor Benjamin put up a temper tantrum about getting calls to people's homes or something. And that's the thing, like, I have documented complaints against the cops. It's on video of their conduct, their misconduct, that's considered irrelevant. Yet they could turn around, the judge and the prosecutor could turn around and say the social media response is relevant, and they have no evidence of that. They just say things have gotten worse. It's gotten worse. I don't know what that means. I mean, how has things gotten worse? Your lives are being threatened. Do you have evidence of that? I mean, at sentencing, Judge Osley brought in more arguments and had no evidence to back up what he was saying. Something about he asked me to tell everybody to stop contacting them about them being so unfair, and then saying that got worse building up to my trial, and that was it. That was his evidence. It got worse. And what can I do? That was my sentencing. If I interrupted him while he was sentencing me, I think that would have been, he would have told me to shut up, and it's his time to talk, and possibly faced contempt of court speaking up. I stayed silent. All I could do is just stay silent while he was convicting me and sentencing me. But in between, I was supposed to ask for 3 days to prepare for the sentence, and I only had a few seconds. I didn't know how fast the judge would move between conviction and sentencing. But what's relevant and what's irrelevant? The irrelevant stuff, they want to say it's all for a lawsuit that I make on civil matters against the police about their illegal arrest. But on the other hand, I have to also get a not guilty verdict too, which I'm guilty. I was found to be guilty, and so that kind of kills the lawsuit. So in a way, what do you do? It's like by judging me guilty, they've just caused a lawsuit to become moot. They've cut the lawsuit off at the head, and all my complaints that would follow with it, just disputing my voice recorder being searched without a search warrant, not putting a seatbelt on me, just all the illegal conduct that the cops were engaged in, that I was told would be more of a civil lawsuit, but you can't. But you need step one is to be found not guilty in the criminal court to go on to step two, and so they silence step two, and that's frustrating. Then they just tell you to shut up, tell me to shut up, on what they consider irrelevant stuff, and I have to put up with what they consider relevant stuff, things that are outside, that happen after the arrest. They're outside of the arrest. The judge determined what's important or not. Social media stuff is important. What the cops did after the arrest is not important. And the social media stuff was used against me, and everything that the cops did to violate my rights, and that was post arrest, things they learned afterward that they added to their evidence for trial, which their evidence is their dreams and analogies and imaginations and all of that stuff that I mean, this is evidence that, book writers, I mean, they're adding to the book every day. They're writing a little bit more to tell a little bit more of their story. This is the type of dirty evidence that is changed day to day and refined. This is evidence they refine day to day up until the trial. It's not evidence. When I have to guess, what are they going to think of this time, leading up to the trial? That's not evidence. Evidence is solid. It's static. It's supposed to be fixed. Okay, you get it all fixed. You get it in discovery, but evidence gradually change. The story develops, they consider their story their evidence, and it developed over time, and there were surprises, especially with waiting a few 4 or 5 days. Was it the 28th or so? 6 days, 4 days. To get these video interviews from the 2 librarians and hold them for 2 months, and then spring them on me 2 days before my first trial date. They were developing evidence. And evidence equals story to them, and story equals their imagination. It's something that develops. Evidence cannot develop over time. It has to be static. I mean, that's why you get written reports early on, and you have to stick with that. I mean, if there's holes in the evidence, then make that clear over time. That's what investigators do. Is they don't just do interviews just to cover their bases. They gotta fill in the holes to find out exactly what doesn't make sense. All right, and they don't use their investigators in that way. They do it to create a narration, to create a story that they could develop over time. Maybe keep it open-ended early, so that they can make it more concise, get it leading up to the trial, adjusting their story as they go a little bit at a time. That's just not a perfect way of conducting a fair and impartial trial. So what they determine to be relevant and irrelevant only depends on their narrative and how they can best prosecute the defendant.